Every year, for the past, 7, 8, 9, we have tried to bring back a Marquette graduate who has gone on and distinguished himself or herself in some manner, be it in whatever field it may be. The past few years, it seems like we've brought in doctors and scientists and NASA engineers, and we really wanted to bring somebody in this year who has distinguished themselves in the business world. And by the way, graduates, it is something I think to aspire to be asked to come back and address a graduating class 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. I guess it's becoming a pretty big deal because I actually have people email me, call me, and even come into my office saying, what do I have to do to get to speak to one of the classes? So it's, whereas a few years ago, we would have to put our heads together and try to figure out who we're going to invite. Now they're coming to me. This young man did not come to me, though. I came to him. One of his classmates, Mr. Walters, actually, told me about this young man. I knew about this young man when he graduated in 1980. I was at Marquette in 1979, 80, and I knew him. But the guest speaker this year is Michael Stephan. Mike Stephan is a 1980 graduate of Marquette Catholic High School and a 1984 graduate of the University of Notre Dame. He lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where he is Vice President, Corporate Controller, and Chief Accounting Officer of AutoNation, a Fortune 500 company and the nation's largest automotive retailer with 215 stores in 15 states. You're going to need cars in college. Mike previously served in accounting and financial reporting leadership roles with American Express Company and Cigna Corporation. He is a CPA and began his career with Price Waterhouse, serving in the firm's St. Louis, Houston, and New York offices. Mike currently serves as treasurer of the Broward Partnership for the Homeless in Fort Lauderdale, a shelter for 200 homeless men, women, and families. He also serves on the board of the Broward Public Library Foundation and as chair of the Finance Committee for St. Anthony Catholic Church in Fort Lauderdale. He previously served on the board of Catholic Social Services of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. Mr. Stephan?
Members of the Marquette class of 2012. Wow, 2012. Congratulations. It's an honor to be with you and your families and teachers this evening. This is an important milestone in your lives, and I'm privileged to be able to share it with you. It's hard to believe, along with some other friends in this room, that it's been 32 years since we participated in our own Marquette graduation ceremony. My family has a long history of association with Marquette, where my grandfather Joe was head football coach for 22 years, after which he was inducted into the Illinois High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame. In fact, his record of wins over the course of his career at Marquette of over 70% still ranks 9th in the Metro East area. Graduates from my family include my brothers David and Daniel and my sister Carol, along with many aunts, uncles, and cousins, and my parents Jim Stephan of the class of 1954 and Rosemary Finn Stephan of the class of 1955. I'm very happy that my parents and my brother Daniel are with me this evening. I'd ask them to please stand and be recognized. I'd like to particularly acknowledge tonight the service provided to Marquette and all of us associated with it by the Ursuline Sisters who founded Marquette in 1927. All of us are deeply indebted to them for the dedication and sacrifices that they made for Marquette. In a special way tonight, I'd ask you to thank all of your teachers and administrators and the staff at Marquette who have worked so hard to help prepare you for your next step in life. So I please ask that all of the teachers and administrators and staff at Marquette please stand so we can give them a round of applause. This is a time to take note of all of your accomplishments, celebrate the friendships that you have formed, and look forward to the future with confidence based upon what you have achieved. It is also a time to thank those who helped you along your journey, including your parents, your other family members, and your friends. As you know, the motto for Marquette is Serviam, which, as you know in Latin, means I will serve, and that's the theme that I'd like to speak with you about tonight. I entered into a career in the business world, which is a vocation choice. Businesses that are managed well and have high ethical standards create jobs, provide growth opportunities for their employees, and provide value to their customers. They also respect the environment. Most businesses also recognize that being engaged with their communities is an important ethical principle. They provide funds for charitable causes, as well as promote the involvement of their employees in community matters. I know that you have been involved with various community service projects during your time at Marquette. I thank you for what you've done to help others. You should be proud of being associated with a school that promotes community service involvement. In fact, my community service involvement, which I started at Marquette, has been a key foundation for me over the course of my business career. And I'm proud to work for a company that actively promotes the involvement of its employees in community service activities. I have had the good fortune to serve in different capacities within our church and with nonprofit organizations focused on helping those less fortunate. One of the organizations that I'm currently involved with is a large homeless shelter in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We spend over $5 million each year to provide food, clothing, medical, and other assistance to the homeless in our community. Homelessness is one of the major challenges facing society today. You will become more aware of this as your life's journey takes you across the country. Based on a recent government study, there were over 600,000 homeless people in the United States. About 2/3 of them find shelter in some kind of facility, but the remaining 1/3 have nowhere to go or face challenges such as substance abuse or mental illness, which prevent them from getting assistance. However, the efforts of many people to help alleviate the pain of homelessness do make a difference. I wish you could see firsthand about how our residents who enter our homeless shelter were able to turn around their lives. With the help they received from the staff of the shelter, they were able to re-enter society with new jobs and new homes, and most importantly, hope for the future. One of our success stories involves a family with a high school student who recently stayed in our homeless shelter, who I will call John for purposes of telling you his story. John's mother had become ill and she was unable to work. Ultimately, she was forced to leave her home, and she and her family, including John, stayed at the homeless shelter. John is a gifted student and a talented musician. Along with other students at his high school, he participated in a national music competition, which they won. Staff members of the homeless shelter were able to use funds which had been donated to help students at our shelter to enable him to go to his high school prom and even help him pay for his high school yearbook. Despite the adversity that John and his family experienced, John studied hard and received a scholarship to attend college. His mother recovered from her illness, and through the employment referral services provided by the homeless shelter, she was able to find a new job in her field, and with it, a new home for her family. We have many individuals who volunteer to serve at the homeless shelter. They help with cooking and serving meals, babysitting in the family dorm, staffing the computer lab, sorting clothing donations, and teaching financial literacy classes. As you can see, at just this one organization, there are many different ways to help serve those less fortunate. During your life's journey, there will be many ways that you can get involved in some way to make a difference in the lives of others. I encourage you to find something that touches your heart and get engaged in a way that's meaningful for you. I also urge you to become leaders in your parish communities, and I ask you to remember to support your alma mater, Marquette, in the years ahead. Marquette will need your support in the future so that others can receive the excellent education that you have received. In closing, I'd like to remember Marquette's motto, Servium, and end with a prayer from Father Theodore Hesburgh of Notre Dame that speaks to living a life of service. Lord, give us the ambition to do as much as we can, as well as we can, as long as we can, and the resolve not to despair over the things we cannot do. Amen. My very best wishes to each and every one of you and your families, and my thanks for letting me participate in your ceremony tonight. Thank you very much.
Mike, thank you very much. I am so glad I did not ask your brother Daniel to speak. You knew there'd be something, didn't you, Daniel?